Hey YouTube, it's Kel. I just wanted to pop on tonight and do a quick video. Really for consistency, I'm trying to do something every day, every other day. I think it's been a couple days, but I wanted to pop on and do the subject called free association. And this is just going to be a very brief overview, but I thought it'd be a fun video to do for you, or if you are a therapist leading groups. This is just a fun group idea. It really, you get all the wildest answers and it's so fun, and the clients love it. But also, this is what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do tonight is show you a fun actual video, like activity that you can do with even your partner. I'm really not your kids. It's probably not like a great idea to do with your kids, but it's more just like a fun activity to do with your friends, your partner, or whatever. And I'll show you what to do. And so back in the day, how I got this idea basically was, back in the day, the way that Sigmund Freud actually did therapy was through free association. So, and what he called it the royal road to the unconscious mind. And again, I'm going to do another video on the conscious mind versus the unconscious mind. But when I say that, I think you guys know what I mean. It's that basically you can have a conscious mind in the present moment, but there's stuff you have shoved into different parts of your, underneath in the quote underground part of your brain that is still there, that affects everything you do every day. So this activity, free association, he said back in the day, and again, I don't agree with everything with Freud, but this is a kind of a fun thing to do because sometimes you tap into your subconscious and you're like, oh, I didn't even know that was there. So, and if you can hear my cats, they're saying hi. Free association was and is basically a way, what you do is someone says, that is one of my cats, someone says a word, and then basically you just go off of that and discuss whatever's on your mind without filtering. The key here tonight is no filtering. If you filter, it doesn't do what it's supposed to, which is really tap into the unconscious, because if you filter, then you're bringing your conscious mind into it and saying, oh, that's not okay, or whatever. So what you really want to do is the one rule for tonight and tonight's activity is no filtering. So no censoring, no, I shouldn't put that, You're going to see how this goes. So what you want to do is you're going to get a blank piece of paper out, and you are going to see if I can do it. I'll show you with just one at first, but you're going to do a blank line right there. And then you're going to do like 5 bullet points underneath it, because in the activity that we're going to do, and I'll show you the whole rest of it. This is just an example if you chose to do like 9 different free association words. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to give you an example of different words. Let's just say, hold on one sec, I'll show you. What you do for this activity, and again, this can be a great group clinical activity if you work in a treatment center. It's a really fun one. The clients love it because it just brings out things they never knew. They get to talk about. They're like, where did that come from? So let's just say, for example, what you're gonna do is, say you were with your partner, you're going to say, hey, let's just create that blank with all the 9, and you have not filled in the words yet. Okay, so then you're going to, on a separate different list in your phone or whatever, you're going to come up with 9 specific words that you want your significant other or the clinical group or whatever you're doing to free associate on. And then you explain to them you're not allowed to filter. So basically what they are supposed to write down on those 5 bullet points are the first 5 words that come to mind. Okay, so this is a hypothetical, but let's just say we have like the word tree here. Okay, I already put a few up here and we'll talk about those in a sec, but let's just say we're free associating the word tree. Okay, so someone might, as soon as you say go, and usually it should just be right after you say the word, so tree, and then they'll probably, like for example, normally put green, leaves, trunk, brown, fall, something like that, right? So you're just free associating the first 5 words that come to mind with that specific word that you just named. Now, the interesting part, here's a really interesting part, is you can get into conversations about, let's just say, family. You do family, you do the word family, and you don't talk about any of these until the whole activity is done, right? So you just go, okay, family, and then you have them free associate, and then you name the next word and they free associate the 5, and then they do the next word and they free associate the 5. And then at the end, you have a whole sheet of paper that's filled with words, right? And so then you go over each word and what does that mean? So let's just say for family, for instance, you can get the gamut of different words. You might get someone saying chaos, unpredictable, horrible, or, I mean, this is of course if they had a really bad childhood, but, or awful, or mean, or whatever. Or you could get like fun, supportive, loving, kind, you know. So now, regardless, it's just a really fun way to get to know your partner, because you're going to do words like, another one we put here is men, okay, and women. So you could do words like that if you chose to. So you might, like if you're doing this with a girlfriend, you could do it, I mean, I don't think that everyone would do it at a happy hour, but you could. It's like a fun little game. So, and by the way, forgive my hair. I don't know I really was not planning on doing a podcast today, and I was like, I'm not going to let bad hair. I did one of those, like, this is such an aside, but I did one of those, things that you wrap around the hair, and it did not exactly turn out. It's like heatless curls. It didn't exactly turn out the way that I wanted it to this time, but we're just going to say, forget it. Don't look at that. But anyways, so for like men, for instance, if you're doing this in a clinical group with women, you may get the gamut of different unconscious messages about men or feelings about men that women may have, or vice versa. So like if you're doing this with your partner and your partner, you know, it's like you'll get their unconscious feelings about men. You may get sorry, I don't know what's going on with my cough tonight, but so I've done this in clinical groups, and you will get the gamut of answers from like trouble, difficult, disloyal, cheating, or mean, or abusive, or whatever, to like amazing, supportive, protector, kind, you know, loving, you know. So it really does get to let you know what are these subconscious messages. And the biggest thing is, like, especially if you're doing it in a clinical group, the reason why you might want to do this is because some people may have a bias against men, or a bias against women, or a bias against whatever, you know, word you choose, and they might not have known it before doing it like this free association, where they just do the top 5 that come quick. They might say, so like for women, for example, you might get the gamut of, there's some really like pro women out there who would say something like friendship, supportive, loving, amazing, you know, like whatever, uplifting, positive, funny, you know, whatever. And then you might, if you're dealing with, you know, say if you're doing this in a clinical group of women, for example, you say women, you may get like radically different words. Like you might get dramatic, clingy, I don't even know, difficult, or moody, or, you know what I mean? Like you don't know, and it's just a very interesting thing to explore, is what is in your subconscious mind about certain things. So this is a really just interesting / fun way to tap into your subconscious mind beyond the sensors that we all use every day. We kind of filter our minds and we say like, no, that's not acceptable, I shouldn't think that, and so they kind of like push it back into their subconscious mind. So if you do that, family, men, women, I remember words, we did words when I led a clinical group, we did words like relationships, intimacy, commitment, we also did like, what were other ones? Dating, or holidays, or, you know, you can do, this is a fun thing about this activity, is you could really do it for so many different words to get like people's associations. Even if you're not looking to uncover anything crazy, if you just want to know, like, and go over it after, it's just a good way to get to know your partner a little better and say, like, oh, like when I said holidays, I didn't know you would have said Easter or like, you know, Father's Day or something, you know what I mean? So like, so very interesting. And then you can ask them, like, why do you think you put that? Just out of curiosity. And sometimes they won't have an answer. Sometimes they will, though. And it'll be an interesting way to get to know your partner more. So again, there's a lot more psychology to behind this, but I just thought it would be a fun little activity to share that you can do with your partner, with your friends, with your loved ones, whatever, siblings or whoever. If you just for, doesn't even have to be for anything productive, just as like a get to know you thing. And it's kind of like a fun way to do it. So that's it for tonight. I just wanted to share because I thought of it when I remember when I found out that was one of the biggest ways free association was the way that Freud did therapy. I thought it was so interesting. Like, wow, we've moved so far away from that. And yet I do think there's still value in, you know, not censoring yourself and saying the first things that come to mind. Because, you know, so like you might, just as an example too, like if someone said tree, but the first word in your mind was like purple, for whatever reason, you just want to write that down there, you know, because again, maybe you'll uncover later, oh, I have memories of, you know, purple tree that we had in our backyard every fall, or I don't know. But the point is again, it just kind of, it's a food for thought, get you thinking kind of exercise. And again, I really just do think it's a great way to tap into your subconscious a little bit when we don't usually do that. We spend so much of our time in our conscious mind, which is fine, but it's just a real fun, interesting way to tap into your subconscious mind. And so you might, like, also another thing is if you are with someone who, you know, if you put mother and father as your words, you know, you might get some really interesting answers from your partner. Like if you didn't know they felt their mom was controlling or something, they might put controlling there and you'd be like, oh my gosh, dang, like that makes a lot of sense, or like, that's interesting, tell me more, you know? So, okay, that's it. I just want to pop on and share a fun activity that I've done in the past. Like I said, it brings out really interesting stuff in people. And if you ever just feel like doing it, I don't know, it's kind of hard to do on like a road trip or something when a person doesn't have, you really need to have whoever's actually writing down the words really needs to be able to have full concentration, because you're basically going to have them sit there and close their eyes and be silent and tell you what the first 5 words are. So like if you can't do it on a road trip while someone's driving because they literally are keeping their eyes open and they might like say highway, or, you know, it's going to get in the middle if you're multitasking. So that's the one way I would say that it should be done, is during moments when people can actually concentrate, you know, and have just like ideas pop into their mind spontaneously. So that's it for today. I will probably, again, I'll do another video in the future on the conscious versus subconscious mind. But just for tonight, this was a fun one. I just remember like doing so many groups where the clients loved it. It was just, it brought up like random words they wouldn't have thought that they would have said. So that's it for today, and I will see you next time, and I hope that you are having a great night wherever you are, and I wish you health and healing and happiness, and I'll see you soon.